Okay guys, for this first exercise, we're going to create a series of different sized newspaper templates that we'll use for the rest of this unit in both the other exercises and the final project. This first exercise has two different parts to it. The first part, we're going to create 5 different size templates, and in the second part, we're going to create paragraph styles for the body copy and also the headlines. The whole purpose of making a template and saving paragraph styles is so that you can quickly and easily open up a document that's the right size and has all the setup that you need to start flowing in your newspaper articles. And so this is a great way of saving time and also working in a professional manner. So for the first part, let's move this down. I want to be able to see this little table down here at the bottom because it's got all of the information I need to set up my document. I'm going to jump into InDesign, go to File, and create a new document. Your setup may look slightly different from mine, but all the controls are exactly the same. If you see picas, we can change this to inches if that's what you're more used to working in. And I'm going to look at the American tabloid size setup first. So the height and width of it and the size needs to be 10 1/4 by the height of 14 inches. As far as the margins go, notice that I'm using 3P0. That unit of measure is being measured in picas and points. And if you've got inches already set up, that's okay. So let's find our margins. And for each one of these, since they're all going to be the same, I'm going to type in 3P0, 3 picas, 0 points. When I click away, it'll automatically convert it from picas into inches. And so it's going to be the same for all of these for this particular setup. The same is true for the columns and the gutters. It'll have 5 columns with a gutter width of 1P0. So going up to here, the number of columns we can set to 5, and the gutter width we can type in 1P0. When you click away, it'll automatically convert that to inches. Everything else on here, oh, one more thing, make sure facing pages is checked on. Everything else will remain exactly the same, so we can say create. And now you can see we've got our document set up with the 5 columns and the gutters in between the margins. The next thing we need to do is establish our baseline grid. And the baseline grid is a way of setting up grid lines that run horizontal across your entire page. I'm on step number 2. So to establish your baseline grid, let's turn it on first. I'll go up to View, down to Grids and Guides, and show my baseline grid. Now if you don't see your baseline grid, we can hit Command and the plus sign and zoom in until you start to see the light blue little lines going across your page, now that you know that they're turned on. So to edit our baseline grid, let's go to InDesign, down to Preferences, and choose Grids. At the very top, you can see all of the settings for the baseline grid. We want to start all of these at 0 inches relative to the top margin. Incrementing in our case, it'll be 12 points. However, if you pay attention to the instructions, the Berliner and the 2 broadsheets will be incremented every 13 points. But for now, we'll keep it 12 as it is here. So all of this is set up, 0, top margin 12. We'll say OK. And now you can see how it's changed up our document. There should be no grid lines inside of the margins of your page, and they should be spaced out every 12 points. Once we're done with this part, let's save it as an InDesign template. So I'm going to go to File and Save As. We'll give it the name of American Tabloid. Let me zoom in for you. Template. And the most important part is to change your format from an InDesign document to an InDesign template. Yours should have an INDT as its file extension. I'm going to save this one to my desktop so I can quickly find it. We'll hit Save. Now I can close it out. And if I look on my desktop, you can see here's the INDT file for the American Tabloid. Let's do the same thing for the British Tabloid. Again, let's pull this down so I can see all of my information. We'll go into InDesign, go to File, and create a new document. The size of it, we'll set this back to inches. For a British tabloid is 11 inches. Oops. There we go, 11 inches wide and 17 inches tall. We want to keep facing pages checked on. The margins, we'll scroll down here, is going to be different for the top and the bottom and the inside and out. So I'm going to uncheck this one and unlink those. The top and bottom one will be 3p0, which is half of an inch, but the inside is going to be 2p3 and the outside is going to be 2p3. For the number of columns, it's going to be 5 columns total, but the gutter width for the British tabloid is 1p1. So let's type in 1p1. We'll hit create, and so here's the setup for this one. Let's turn on our guides. So go to View, Guides, Show Baseline Grid, and remember we need to zoom in, so Command and the plus sign will give us our little guidelines that we can see. Then we can go to InDesign, Preferences, choose Grids, and we'll set the grids to start at 0 relative to the top margin, and we want to increment this one every 12 points. When we say OK, that'll set this up and go from there. So for this particular tutorial, I'm only going to step us through the British and the American tabloid. You'll continue on and also save this up for the Berliner, the US broadsheet, and the British broadsheet. Just remember to go to File and Save As. We'll do this tabloid template. Be sure to save the format as a template file and hit Save. And then here it is saved on my desktop right there. So for here, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to let you finish creating the other 3, going through the same steps of creating the size, the margins, the columns, and then the baseline grid, and save it as a template. When you are finished with these, make sure you close them out just so that we don't accidentally work on the wrong project or still have it open.